Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, just about afternoon. I hope you're all right and enjoying a spring fair. First time I've ever been. It's very interesting. Walking through and not being able to buy anything has been really frustrating for me. But yeah, this is a non-technical introduction to AI. So I'm from a company, it's my company, called AI for Non-Techies. I think you don't need to be technical. You don't need to be a coder or know anything about how to build and create things in order to get really good results from AI. I'm living proof of that. So this will be a jargon-free zone. I'm just going to talk you through, just on a really high level, what is this generative AI thing that everybody's talking about and how can it apply to you in a retail environment? Okay, an introduction to myself. My name's Heather Murray, founder of AI for Non-Techies. As I just said, everything I do is completely non-technical. I used AI to drive $75 million worth of client sales. Again, without any technical stuff, that's going to be a core theme. I'm part of the ISO committee for AI and cybersecurity and education. I advise the UK government on AI use, generative AI use in HR in particular. I'm in Forbes a lot, so I must be doing something right. And I work with brands like Toyota, Mitsubishi, Salesforce, Google, and quite a few other things, as well as small businesses as well. I'm a small business myself. I really like working with other small businesses because I think there's a huge opportunity for everybody here. My small business has tripled in revenue because I've integrated just a few of the things that I'm going to show you today. Um, so yeah, I've got a lot of followers on LinkedIn. So yeah, I think there's a real need at the moment for people to just get that basic. Oh, we're gonna walk into this table. That basic knowledge about AI. So what is it? What can it do? What can it not do? And how can I use it? I don't really care about how it works. So I don't know how my mobile phone works. I don't know how my laptop works, but I'm still able to get a lot of money out of using them. So we don't need to know how these things work. Okay. So this is a bit of a quote. This is a big, bold thing to say. So AI is more important. He actually said the word profound, but AI is more important than fire or electricity. And this is the CEO of Google saying this recently, about a year ago. What does he mean by this? How can it possibly, how can this new thing, this chat GPT thing be more important than fire or electricity? What he means is that fire and electricity generally will help a human do something. We use them to achieve something else. AI has come in and not only are we going to use it to do stuff, we're going to use it to replicate ourselves and actually improve on what we're actually capable of at the highest possible level. It's a really, really exciting thing that we're going into. Terrifying and exciting in equal measure. Um, so yeah, it's a very important thing. It's not going anywhere. I think a lot of people have sat and waited over the last couple of years and thought, right, is this going to be a big hype cycle? Is it going to be this big thing that blows up and then it disappears? It is absolutely not. I think we're now realizing that when we see it's integrated into our laptops, into our phones, into pretty much every program we use as well. And you can't really escape ChatGPT or more recently DeepSeek, if anybody's heard of that. Okay, it's not new though. We've all heard of AI before. And the term AI is nothing new to us, is it? So it's actually from a little further back than you might think, 1950. So Alan Turing, the Turing test, which I'm sure most of us have heard of, is when he got a computer to act like a human or tried to pass a computer off as a human in an experiment, a series of experiments. And that was kind of the first time that AI was, it's known as the first sort of incidence of AI, but it wasn't even called that yet. 1956, the term artificial intelligence was born at a conference in the US. And then this kind of kicked off this kind of really interesting stage in the 50s and 60s of investigating what this AI thing is. Um, we actually had our very first AI chatbot in 1966. So it wasn't ChatGPT, it wasn't Gemini or Copilot or any of the things we have now. It was this guy, so it was called Eliza, and by this guy here, Joseph Weizenbaum. And he created a series of personalities on a computer that, of course, it's 66, it took up an entire room. But he created an entire series of personalities that were all kind of different forms of therapists. So he invented a psychotherapist bot called Eliza, and you typed in your problems, and it responded to you with answers. And you can use a simulation of it online. It's pretty spectacular. So AI chatbots even aren't anything new either. 66. So all this promise, all this excitement in the 50s and 60s about AI, lots of futurism, lots of people imagining these flying cars and things like that. But 70s, 80s, and quite a chunk of it into the 90s, nothing much happened. So it's known as the AI winter. So a bit disappointing, not really much to write home about. Until IBM, and as a geek, I love this, I remember it very clearly. IBM created a program called Deep Blue that beat Kasparov at chess. Our chess grandmaster, a computer beat our very best human at what that human was best at. That was exciting. And that seemed to kick it all off again. I'll keep on walking into this table. I'm going to have to go this way. How about I go this way? There we go. That's a little bit better. So yeah, so the 70s, 80s, AI winter, 90s, it kicked back off again. And then we have the 2000s. So around about the year 2000, we had the rise of, and I promise this is the only time I'll use any technical terms, machine and deep learning. I'll explain what they are in basic terms in a second, but they're the foundations of what we've got going on today. And then 2022, I remember 30th of November 2022, I was sat there at home, well, maybe a couple of days later, I'm not that quick. I was sat there at home in my office I was running a marketing agency at the time. And I saw this ChatGPT thing and I thought, okay, this is terrifying. First of all, first thought was this is going to kill my business. We were a copywriting business, this is going to kill us. But then the second thought was, oh God, I've got the opportunity to be at the beginning of something. This is new. This could be like being at the beginning of the internet, probably 10 times bigger. So yeah, that was a big day for me. So 2022, 2023 and onwards, we've got this big stream of all this stuff and ChatGPT is absolutely everywhere. So AI, we know now, nothing new, been around since the 50s. And then I mentioned just a second ago, machine learning. So that's a type of AI. So imagine that AI, the yellow bit on the outside, that's your overarching term. Then you've got machine learning is that kind of next layer in that came about 40 years later. That is when computers learn from something that happened in the past. So it's the learn side. So AI is kind of computers thinking and learning like a human. This is the learning bit. So whenever you pick up your phone, predictive text, or you use your email spam filters, it's constantly learning from past information. It's constantly improving. Therefore, using AI every day, the AI itself, nothing new. We're using it all the time. Parts of Netflix, big chunks of Netflix are also machine learning. Skip forward 10 years, we have deep learning. So I just said AI is about thinking and learning like a human. We've got the learning bit up here, the machine learning. Deep learning, and I wish it was called deep thinking, it'd be a lot easier, but deep learning is the thinking side. So everywhere we go, wherever we scan our pass, haven't got my pass on, wherever we do, we walk under a CCTV camera, we use a cash machine, we buy something online, we're building these huge piles of data. And as most of you will know, as people who would sell things online, we've got massive mountains of data. But what's the point in having all this unless we can understand what it means, unless we can glean insights from it? So deep learning was developed using something called neural networks, named after the neurons in your brain, to help us understand what all this data means at speed and to actually take action off the back of it. Otherwise, what's the point in having it? What's the point in saving it all and recording it all? So yeah, deep learning was the next bit, about 10 years later, about 2010. And a few examples of that, the rest of Netflix, so what you like, what you pause, what you skip past, what you rate, all of that, that's a bit more deep learning. Siri, Alexa, they're a bit of deep learning going on, and facial recognition, real-time translation, that type of thing. Whenever you pick up your phone, recognize your face, AI in action again. So we've all been using AI for decades. But this is the reason we're talking about it now, generative AI. So we've had learning from past data. We've had thinking and analyzing these big mountain of data, and now we've got the ability to generate something new from it. So something that humans would normally generate, maybe it's images, maybe it's text, maybe it's video, maybe it's audio, voice, there's all sorts of different things. And we can also play around with that information too as well. We can analyze it, we can enrich it, we can summarize it, we do all this cool stuff. So generative AI, that's the new bit. That's the reason we're all talking about AI suddenly, and it's all over our LinkedIn feeds and it's all over the news. Generative AI, not AI as a whole. And then right in the middle, we have LLMs, large language models. I won't go into that. They're just simply the engines behind those chatbots that we're using. So I promise that's the most technical slide that I've got. So I want to show something to represent the pace of change. I think we are in an incredible period now. Technology, this generative AI technology is moving incredibly quickly. So to show this, I want to use a tool called Midjourney. This is one of your kind of better AI image generators. So you type something in and it creates 4 images. And I want to show how quickly it's moving. So I typed in a fashion retail store display with mannequins in evening wear. So this was the first version that we had, which was about 18 months ago. Um, it's you can sort of see if you squint. Maybe it's mannequins. I don't know. There's no heads. There's kind of vague arms. There's not really any legs. There's sort of a pink dress there, I think, but it's not very clear. And I think if anybody was using AI image generators right at the beginning, you'll remember they had really creepy faces and extra limbs and hands that went in weird places as well. But this was only about 18 months ago. So a couple of months after that, version 2. And we've got these kind of robot ones that kind of seem quite stylized. You get away with them if you really wanted to. Version 3, a couple of months later, we have a sort of, they're looking a lot more like mannequins, aren't they? This is going very, very, a couple of weeks, couple of 8 weeks between these. We've got kind of these robot mannequins. Version 4 is jumping quite a lot. We've got funny faces again. They're not quite usable, but we've got an outfit here, haven't we? We've got people would, when asked to describe this picture, would say it's mannequin. Version 5, we've jumped forward even more. These are now identifiable mannequins. This could be a photo. And version 6, where we are today, right now, when they're about to release a new version, it's almost indistinguishable from reality. So the pace of change, a few months between each one of these, is astonishing. We've got a lot going on here. So this is something we absolutely need to be knowing about. Yeah, so that's just Midjourney. Other interesting things that are quite useful. This is a digital version of me. This is my AI avatar. Different hair. I recorded this back home in my anybody from Birmingham, from Erdington. Just in my office, I recorded this 2 minutes of video on a tool called HeyGen. And I was able to replicate myself. So this isn't me. I just typed in what I wanted it to say, and this is what came out. Hello, everybody here at a wonderful spring fair here in my hometown of Birmingham at the NEC. It's really lovely to meet you all. My name is AI Heather, and I created using just 2 minutes of video. The real Heather sat at home, recorded this in her office, and now she can create an unlimited amount of videos of her at any time, regardless of whether the lighting is right or the camera is right. She can just type in whatever she wants and out this video. I'm kind of freaky, aren't I? But really kind of useful too. Now, there's a bit of a lag on that one. It's not usually, the lips are usually bang on. So there's about a second that's quite annoying. But actually, that seems real. I showed this to my own dad and he couldn't believe, thought, that's you. I'm like, don't be silly, it's you. It's not. And I was able to, as I say, 2 minutes, 0 technical skills. I'm able to replicate myself and have video on demand. It's exciting. These things we can do now with no technical skills. So of course, you're in retail, you want to know what you can do here. These are just some. I think this is probably a 1% of what you're able to do with no technical skills whatsoever. So think about things like revenue and trend forecasting. You can do these things now on tools that are free or £20 a month. You can create images like we just saw with Midjourney. You can create videos now, again, no technical skills. You can create an image and then turn that into a video, or take an existing image and turn that into a video. It takes seconds. It's unbelievable. No technical skill to any of this. You can interact with data in a way that you've never been able to before. So where you'd normally have a data analyst, you can now upload your spreadsheets, upload zip files and PDFs, and AI in seconds, not even seconds sometimes, will look at all of these things, and you can just chat with it and say, oh, is there any outliers in this data? Give me some trends, give me some key insights, create me a graph. It can do all that for you. ChatGPT can do that. Not a lot of people know that. We can visualize, as I say, visualize your data. It can create charts. In that area, it needs a little bit of work, but let's give it a couple of months and it'll probably be amazing. We can summarize market reports really quickly. It's so good at reading things and distilling them into bite-sized points. It can be video, it can be podcasts, it can be written reports. We can now understand things far quicker than we ever could before. You can even say, here's a report. What's relevant to me about this report? Pull out key insights for me in my specific area with my specific audience as well. You can rewrite product descriptions super clearly, super quickly. You can get personalized recommendations. Personalization in AI is very, very exciting. And that's how I got that $75 million for my clients, not for me, unfortunately. We use something called hyper personalization. So we analyzed our high ticket buyers, their personalities online. Again, just a click of a button, no technical skill. I didn't build anything. I didn't have to consult anyone. I was able to analyze these people, understand what sort of things they want to buy, and then go and sell to them. These were £10 million product I was selling. We got 6. Um, so yeah, personalized recommendations, virtual shopping assistants as well. So we're about to say goodbye to those awful chatbots that don't function. You have to ask a certain thing, they still don't work. You just feel like, can get me through to a human. That's now going to be replaced again very easily without having to bring in entire specialist companies with human conversations. It will understand what you mean in the same way kind of ChatGPT understands what you mean. Um, where am I? Written content creation. You can get your social post, and a lot of people dismiss this and go, "Oh, AI generated copy is rubbish." It is absolutely not if you know what you're doing. If you know how to prompt properly, if you give it the right information, if you give it the same information you give to a human to do a good job, it can do a good job for you. But it's not something that's instinctive or intuitive. It is a little bit of a learning curve to learn how to prompt properly. I've seen tons and tons of results that show it really works. So people are able to do things at scale. I used to write product descriptions as a copywriter. That job that I was doing is completely gone now. Um, what else have we got? We've got I've spoken already about hyper personalization, interactive sales role play. So you can practice selling. You can set AI, even ChatGPT does it perfectly. Claude, Gemini, whatever you use, Copilot, DeepSeek if you're feeling a bit risky. Um, you can set it up as your ideal sales lead, sales target, somebody you want to sell to, the buyer. Practice that conversation. It will act as someone and converse with you back and forth so you can practice what you're going to say. You can plan for their objections. You can learn more about the type of thing that might drive them. Um, you can analyze sales pitches, you can build sales pitches, you can do all sorts of things. We've spoken about revenue already. Recruitment automation, very, very exciting place as well. Although I would never, ever recommend completely outsourcing recruitment. Amazon did it in 2018. They were recruiting for a warehouse position. They decided to completely use AI, and they found that they weren't getting any female applicants through. No females in the shortlist because AI had looked past data. It used machine learning to say, "Oh, women don't normally do this job, therefore they can't do this job, and therefore we're going to take them out of the process." So they quickly had to stop that. So AI has incredible biases. We'll talk about that in a second. Um, Employee onboarding as well. So you can create these, when you give people policies and things when they first join your business, you can now make those policies interactive so they actually engage with them. How many times have you joined somewhere, or if you're in recruitment, how many times have you given out policies knowing that people aren't going to read them? You can now interact with them. People can say, "Oh, what's the sick policy for this?" Or I'm planning a holiday here. Who do I need to let know? You can have that interactive thing. Same with client onboarding as well. Um, Inventory management, of course, as we're saying, with all this data analysis stuff, and product photography. So I work with a lot of businesses in automotive, and they are photographing their product and putting that into wherever they want. We've got cars on the tops of volcanoes. There's a company I work with that has a car that's volcano red, and it's specific red of a specific volcano. They couldn't get it up to the top. They dreamed of having it up to the top of this volcano. Now they have an advert where the car is apparently on top of this volcano, and it looks bloody amazing. But yeah, so we can do this product photography. We can combine generative AI with real photography and then also create video off it as well. So imagine the use cases for social. But I think it's really important to know what it is and what it isn't. Generative AI is definitely not the answer to every problem, despite what people keep on telling you. It has massive flaws, massive opportunities, but massive flaws. And we'll talk about those in a second. It's certainly not flawless technology either. So it will glitch, it will break. You'll be using ChatGPT, it suddenly won't work. You can't fully rely on it yet. The things it can do are incredible, but you have to be patient. It's definitely not as intuitive as it seems. There is a learning curve. It doesn't take long, but you do have to invest some money into training it. And if you need any help with training, come and chat to me afterwards. And it can't work on its own. So we need this thing called human in the loop. So AI amplifies the talent and the thoughts and the originality of the user. It can't, if you try to outsource thoughts and outsource original thinking. It comes up with something that's really generic. Get it to prompt you to come up with ideas. That's when the good stuff happens. This poor AI generated copy and poor AI generated anything is generally because the user doesn't really know how to use it yet. But generative AI is an incredibly powerful tool, as hopefully you're getting from this. And it is going to transform how all of us work, from our own personal productivity to our services, to our products, to our HR, to our finance, everything we do. And it's not just a way to optimize what we do. A lot of people focus on efficiency gains. It's actually about deepening services and actually doing entirely new things. It's also an incredibly intelligent personal assistant, and often it costs £20 a month. So when people go, "Oh, I don't know whether to buy," I think, "Oh my God." When you're into it, you think, "Oh, that's the best £20 a month I spend all year." But of course, it's not without a risk, and I'll be terribly irresponsible. I'm not here to say AI is perfect. It absolutely isn't. You need to be aware of these risks. So it is biased. I just spoke about Amazon and that recruitment. Um, it is, in very broad terms, human content amplified by these chatbots. So it's human content through a human-made chatbot. Therefore, it amplifies human bias. We think because it's kind of like a robot AI thing that is free of bias. It's actually the complete opposite. It's got probably more bias than your average human. It's affected by all sorts of things. I could do an entire talk on bias, what's available to it, its knowledge bank. But just be aware it has a bias for now, I think, with the timing that we've got. Um, Data privacy, a huge thing that I always get asked about as well. What you put in can technically come out in somebody else's response on certain versions of things. So always remember, if your product is free, you are the product. So just remember, it's not necessarily safe. There are versions. For example, ChatGPT has 5 versions. You have the free version, data isn't safe. Plus version, £20 a month. Data's okay. It's not enterprise grade, but it's got a high level of security. Then you've got ChatGPT Teams. That's what I use. Minimum of 2 users. Enterprise grade security kicks in. I feel more comfortable using it. Then you've got ChatGPT Enterprise, minimum of 150 users, obviously got enterprise grade security. And then we have a wildly overpriced ChatGPT Pro now, which is $200 a month. And I don't know what that's got yet. Haven't yet got my paws on it. And the people who have got it said it's not really worth it yet. So I'm biding my time with that one. So data privacy, just be careful what you upload, because it can technically, unlikely, but it can technically come out somewhere else. So if you are going to use it for any sensitive data, make sure you're getting the right level. All of them have got an enterprise grade level. Copilot's better at it, but it's less good as a product, I would say. Hallucinations, it lies. It makes stuff up really convincingly. So you might have a list of 10 facts, and one of them, well, technically one half, about 15% of the time it lies or contradicts itself. That's because the sources of its data are a little bit on the dodgy side. They've kind of taken a download of the internet, really simplified. If there's any techies here, I'm sorry, but really, really simplified version. They stop the internet, they download it, and they update it every few months, basically. And they clear it up as best they can, but there's still some dodgy sources of data. If you think about YouTube comments, Reddit comments, all of that sort of stuff, that's not quality data compared to a scientific journal or something else that's white papers and things like that. So it will sometimes take information from the wrong place and give it to you in your answer. Another reason, human in the loop, what I was just saying, that you absolutely need a human to be using this and monitoring it for bias, being careful of your privacy and monitoring it for hallucinations as well. There are ways you can use AI to negate hallucinations too. Come and speak to me about that if you like. Um, and then plagiarism and IP. Who owns what? So the US have just decided, and actually it's the same in the UK, that if it doesn't have a human author, it can't be copyrighted. And that's the case in most countries as well. The UK is a bit unusual in that you can very occasionally have a non-human author and still get a copyright. But most of the time, you cannot own what you're creating. It's actually an amalgamation of probably hundreds of thousands of other images or hundreds of thousands of other articles as well. So it's a bit of a wobbly place. Everything that it's trained on was actually stolen. All these tech companies were going around stealing things before we even realised what was possible. So there are lots of big court cases, OpenAI versus New York Times. There's Getty versus Stable Diffusion. There's all sorts of very big high-profile court cases that are all about to be won and not by these tech companies. So things are going to change. They're going to have to start buying their data instead of stealing it very, very soon. So yeah, just a few risks and limitations. So what I'd encourage you to do is try not to be scared, but it needs us to work properly. It's not going to come in and replace us yet, anyway. I can't speak about the future. Who knows? Um, but at the moment, it's a great time to play. But play carefully. Be aware of those limitations. If you're going to play on the free versions, brilliant. But just be careful what you upload. Just try and redact information on sensitive client data. But you'll be so surprised what's possible. If you wanted to know a little bit more, I have my affordable AI Academy, which is only 25 quid a month as well. So I do lives, on-demand classes, workshops, all sorts of different things. I've got libraries of things. I've got my Ultimate AI for Beginners course as well, which is on demand. People love. So yeah, try it out with a free 7-day trial if you want to go and have a look around and see whether it suits you. And that's it. Hopefully that was interesting. Has anybody got any questions? Sorry, what's it?
Thank you. You said that there was a £20 version that's the sort of starter pack for like, and then you said you're paying another version. What do you pay?
Okay, the ChatGPT Teams version, which is £30 per person per month, and it's a minimum of 2 users. Even though there's just me using it, I just want the enterprise grade security so I
Oh,
can
so
play
you can
properly.
you can lie. You can say there's two of you. They won't know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, just have to pay that bit.
Hi, thank you very much. You mentioned once or twice about some of the limitations of some of the different platforms, like even ChatGPT can do this, and you mentioned I can't remember the name of the one at the start. Um, what would you say are the platforms that are specific to what types of purposes? Like ChatGPT for more content generation, this for image, that for something else.
Yeah, it's a big question because it completely depends. There's some leaders, so I'll give you a few. ChatGPT should not be used for written content creation. It's not very good at it, and that's what a lot of people use it for. They use it kind of a bit of an all rounder. Claude, Claude is the one. It sounds human. If you created a blog or a post with Claude, you cannot tell. As an ex copywriter and somebody who ran a copywriting agency, Claude is the one for written copy. I'd say Midjourney or Ideogram for image generation. Midjourney is the one that we saw at the beginning. It can create these photorealistic images. But if you want text in there, Ideogram, it's called Ideogram, is a really good one too. But if you're researching Perplexity, .ai, that's incredible. It's got Google on steroids. It's absolutely unbelievable. And for anybody who's heard of DeepSeek, which is the new Chinese version, be really, really careful using that because the data, it's got very, very dodgy data policy. You can use it via Perplexity in a much more safe environment. So yeah, that's also a really good one. But there's a free version of Perplexity. Use it like Google or use it like ChatGPT. It's amazing. So ChatGPT is great for data analysis, quite small data analysis to start off with. And it's good at kind of conversations and building your own customized versions. But that would be a good kind of 4 to start off with. Did you have a I think we're on here.
Which image generating tool is it possible to take, for example, if you're a clothing manufacturer and you wanted to put say a shirt or a jacket onto a model that you just created, is that possible?
Um, Specificity is a problem with it at the moment. So you can create these kind of creative ideas, but to move something, you then need to put it into an editor. And so you won't be able to create it specifically with the jacket and the shirt on, but you could create the AI image and then with an AI assisted editor, just get to that end result much more quickly. So I'd say Adobe Express were probably a good choice to get that whole journey. So yeah, 2 stages: creation and then editing as well. Anybody else? Nope. Okay. Thanks very much, everybody. And if I'll just be round here if anybody fancies to chat about anything. Thank you.